Hello and welcome to this 2024 United States presidential election prediction. My name is Joey and I'm an unbiased political commentator. This matchup is between Mike Pence, the Republican who was governor of Indiana and vice president to Donald Trump between 2017 and 2021. Sherrod Brown is the senator for Ohio who was elected in 2007. And so without further delay, I will get on to categorizing these states. Now, the safe states for Sherrod Brown of the Democrats, which is states that I believe he would win by 15% or upwards, are Vermont, no debate there really, New York, Massachusetts obviously, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware and Maryland. Virginia, because Sherrod Brown is one of the few Democratic candidates who can have a good time in the rural areas and can appeal to these kinds of voters. There's New Mexico and Colorado as well, and I think Sherrod Brown would have a particularly good time in New Mexico because, well, look, these states are both heavily trending blue after compared to what they were in the noughties when they were both voting for George Bush. And Sherrod Brown's going to have a particularly good time in New Mexico because of the oil industry there, and his appeal is it's primarily to white working class voters, so that would be good for him down there. Hawaii, California, reliably blue, Oregon and Washington as well, and indeed Illinois, because obviously it's the red state, but Chicago always anchors it to the Democrats by a strong margin. Pence has some safe states of his own. He's pretty much guaranteed Alabama, Massachusetts, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Tennessee. I'm showing my Britishness there. Kentucky, West Virginia, and since he was governor here and a relatively popular governor at that, he will probably win Indiana by a safe margin. As you can see, it went for Obama blue, but it went safe for Trump because Pence was on the ticket. There is not Kansas or Missouri, I don't think. The Dakotas, though, and certainly 3rd District in Nebraska and Nebraska at large, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, and probably Montana as well. So now it's on to the likely states. This is states that Sherrod Brown wins upwards of 5% all the way to 15% of the vote, and I think he'd absolutely smash it in these regions of the Rust Belt here, probably Pennsylvania as well, and indeed Minnesota, and that's simply because of his strong white working class appeal. Like, you've got the Iron Range up here in Minnesota, and you've got all these cities like Milwaukee, you've got southern Wisconsin, sort of Michigan, you've got Detroit, and in addition, obviously I've said Sherrod Brown can appeal to the rurals, and you've got this peninsula up here in Michigan, which has a lot of rural voters who can swing to the left. In addition to that, you would probably see New Hampshire, Maine at large, Maine 2nd District, I believe, no, Maine 1st District, I believe, would go for Brown by a likely margin. New Hampshire, likely. The reason for this is because, look, these are sort of white New England states, but they're strongly Democratic. Maine at large being more Democratic than New Hampshire, and I simply do not see Pence being any kind of a threat at all to this. But Pence has some likely states of his own. He would win Missouri by a likely margin, Alaska, probably South Carolina as well, and indeed Kansas. Kansas is, well, the suburbs are sort of trending strongly to the left there, which would help Sherrod Brown a lot. These guys are about on a par in terms of their suburban appeal, but obviously the suburbs trending left here, which is sort of making it much less of a safe red state. So I think Pence is winning this by about 10% Republican. Probably, I think it's Nebraska's 1st District, which is going to Pence by a likely margin as well, because this is sort of this went for to a likely margin in 2020, and I think that, look, I don't think either of these guys are going to have a particularly good time doing any better or worse than Donald Trump or Joe Biden in this area. In addition, that's Nebraska fully categorized, and that's Nebraska's 1st District, going to Brown by a likely margin because that's how it went in 2020. And again, I don't see either of these guys doing that much better or worse in 2020 than Trump or Biden. And so I think that's about it for Pence's likely states. And the reason these are likely is, look, Alaska, Missouri, and South Carolina is they're both fairly Republican states, but I just don't really see Sherrod Brown really making much of a difference out here, or Pence doing exceptionally well to get them safe. So that is why they are characterized as such. Now, lean D. Well, I think Ohio would be lean D in this case. The reason it's lean D, Ohio, is because obviously it's Sherrod Brown's home state, and he's got a lot of white working class appeal. And the only reason it isn't likely D, as it could possibly well be in certain matchups, is because you've still got the Trump effect, which will have a lot of white working class voters in this state still swinging to the Republican Party. And Nevada is lean D as well, because obviously Sherrod Brown has his white working class appeal, and is he's better at the rurals than your average Democrat, and so that is what would have him winning that state by a margin stronger than Joe Biden. So I'm thinking he's probably winning that by about 4%. So that's a lot stronger than Joe Biden, actually, and he'd probably win. I think he'd win Georgia by a lean margin as well, because of his rural appeal, and in general the Atlanta suburbs in that region sort of trending strongly away from the GOP. Now, Pence has some lean states of his own. He's got Texas by a lean margin, and Iowa, because Brown would probably narrow it up a bit in the rurals, although the rurals are still pretty strong right in this state, so I just can't see him doing that much better in that regard, really. Doing that much better than Obama won it, so it's possible for the Democrats. And of course, District of Columbia, safety. So in Texas, look, if a Democrat wants to win Texas, they have to do really well in the Rio Grande Valley. I think Sherrod Brown would do better with minority appeal than Joe Biden, but I still think it would go to Pence by a margin of around 3% or so. So now, onto the tilt states. Tilt D is North Carolina. Look, this is a state that's been trending left on the whole, and look, it's going to flip pretty much in 2024, so I think this is the matchup that does it, and this is because Brown has a lot of minority appeal as well, which would really help him run it up in Raleigh-Durham and that sort of area. And now, obviously, as you can see, Sherrod Brown has already won the presidency by quite a considerable margin. We have two states left to categorize here. That's Maine 2nd District, which I think goes to Pence by a modest margin. Look, this is just a general sort of Republican area. I don't see Brown being too much of a threat to that in this case. And Mike Pence, unpopular opinion, but I think he wins Arizona, and the reason for that is because of the Maricopa County suburb voters, which went for Biden in 2020. I think they'd flip back to the Republican Party in 2024 in this matchup, because Pence, as long as he can avoid the kind of rhetoric that got Trump screwed over with the McCain voters, then he can pretty much win this by a tilt margin. Sherrod Brown, I don't know who would win Florida in this matchup, to be honest, but I'm giving it to Sherrod Brown by a tilt margin just to even it out a bit, and so that is that. Sherrod Brown wins the presidency with 355 electoral votes against Pence's 183. Thank you for watching, and if you really like this video, you can subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon.